Heard the call to build your small business? Make it happen with a .net domain name, the place for dreamers for 30 years and counting. Visit keepdreamingup.net for tips and advice, whether you're just getting started or looking to grow. That's keepdreamingup.net.
Welcome to UFO Buster Radio. This is episode 100 and we are live. And if you're not on Spreaker.com, you're missing it, folks. So by the way, let's get this intro started. Hey, this is your host, Manny Moonraker, and today I have a special guest. He's here to tell us something interesting and fascinating about a particular gray alien species from somewhere 4.2 far. And I want to welcome right now Paul Wesley. Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Episode 100. It's great to be here. Bring some truth, bring some truth and some realness on the topic at hand.
And listen, I got to tell you something. I was searching. I got the message on the UFO Buster Radio Facebook page from you. That was like about 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Something like that.
Yeah. And so I said, well, let me look up Paul Wesley. And I kept on getting the guy from Vampire Diaries.
Oh, yeah. Everybody gets him.
Yeah, and I was like, what the heck?
You know, he the TV actor, right, from Vampire Diaries.
Yeah, that's right. That's it. So is he the vampire guy that's trying to contact me? What's going on here?
Right.
Yeah. But listen, you brought up a fascinating topic that you wanted to cover on UFO Buster Radio, and that had to do with the Gray Zeta agenda. Now, we talk about things dealing with aliens here and abductions and UFOs, but we've never had anyone come on and talk about this type of topic before. So right. Why don't you, but wait, before we get into that, tell us a little bit about yourself, Paul. Well,
not only have you never had that, but I'm an actual abductee, and a worldwide activist. So you're getting the best of the both worlds on episode 100 tonight. Okay,
nice.
You're getting an abductee, someone who's been through it and is now exposing the agenda at hand, and really how that kind of meshes in with what's going on in current affairs today.
Well, that's fine. I'm excited about it. So how? I guess we can open the floor now, since you said you were an abductee. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, first of all, I just want to say that I'm a universalist, a worldwide activist, and I really just keep power to the people type of mentality. And we're in a stage in history right now where our air is being poisoned, our food's being poisoned. Everything seems wrong. Everyone seems going crazy, and no one sits back and questions why. Why are these things happening? And as an abductee, I've had my first paranormal encounter at the age of 6. Okay, so as an abductee, and when I woke up to the real agenda that's going on that we're going to discuss tonight, it's about self-empowerment, and it's about knowledge doesn't empower unless you empower others to empower themselves. You have to use that knowledge to empower others. And hopefully we can do that tonight and let everyone know that there's a real threat going on, and I have proof to back this up, and I have the experience behind it. So it's just, from being an abductee and speaking out throughout the years, it's just become my mission and many other people's mission to really bring light to this. And it has to be done, in my opinion. It has to be done.
Well, something that one of the things that we talk about often, myself, any co-host or guest I've had on here, and even the listeners through the different social media platforms that we're on, is that there is a lack of proof.
Sure.
And that becomes problematic for us But you're saying
well, not
that you
tonight.
have
Not,
some kind of proof.
not tonight. It's not going to be. It's not going to be problematic tonight.
Okay.
I'm gonna bring it. I'm gonna bring the proof tonight, and I'm really gonna, I'm gonna kind of hopefully ease the audience into what I'm saying and how it relates to what's going on now.
Okay.
So, and the thing is, you have to ask yourselves also who's bringing the message. You know what I'm saying? So, are they abductees? Are they researchers? And it seems to be that 90% of people that are spreading ufology are researchers. And
Right.
and with the right. So what the audience and listeners really need is someone who's been there, someone who's been abducted, someone who's fought for the people, and I've done that. And tonight I'm gonna, hopefully shock the world on UFO Buster Radio.
There you go. All right. Well, Paul, bring on the pain. We want to hear it.
Yeah. So I'm, first off, any questions you may have, feel free to throw at me, and let me know, whatever you might have at hand, and or unless you just want me to take the floor and run with it.
Well, no, I definitely want you to, at very least, just introduce yourself as far as the message that you're giving to the people, of what it is that you want to share, and then we'll go into the Grey Zeta agenda and see how that fits together.
Sure. As an abductee since the age of 6, as someone who has had paranormal experiences since a young age, I've been on multiple radio shows, 2 TV shows, discussing what's been going on with the underground bases, with different alien races, and the agenda changes depending on how history and people evolve. You understand? So,
right.
So 5 years ago, I could, I've always been consistent with what I've said as far as the Greys are concerned. I've always been consistent and on point about other races of beings, and but things do change. People evolve spiritually, people evolve, and it's a strategy. We're in a time in society right now where it's good against evil, and right now it seems that evil may be having upper hand. But so I've done multiple radio shows. There's not really much out there I haven't done. Your viewers can check this out. YouTube.com/Prince Truthchaser and Twitter.com/Paul Wesley 286. And you guys can look in the playlist and see what I've been up to. But hopefully tonight I can get out there something that's really grave importance, and that's that humanity, as has been done in history, is being recycled. We're being recycled by hybrids. By
so, Paul,
gray
why don't you take us
hybrids.
back to the beginning of what exactly is it that set you on this path?
Just passion for change. A lot of people have been abducted. We all know that. There are a lot of people who claim to be abducted, and so if you look through the ufology records and alien abduction records, millions of people have been taken. Millions of people have been abducted throughout the world. And for me, it's just been an overwhelming passion and to get it out, to say, look, you're taking people's free will. You're abducting someone against their galactic free will. And some people may disagree with that, and they'll say, well, you signed a soul contract, a reincarnation contract, or whatever. Or some people will say, okay, the government had signed a deal with the Zetas for technology, which is probably true. Okay? But that doesn't make it right, you understand? So if I've been abducted or you've been abducted, our galactic free will is being taken because I didn't sign on to anything. You didn't sign on to anything. So it's my mission to say, hey, look, if they're bold enough to recycle humanity or to take galactic free will from people, then we got to be just as bold enough to fight back. Period. That's my passion, and I love it.
So you said that early on you experienced an abduction yourself. So is this something that's happened periodically throughout your life, or was it just like a one-time deal?
Oh, periodically, since I was a child, young age. I would have the a classic astral travel where you kind of like, fly, not out of your body, but you're flying and I was grabbing on the street lights. You know what I mean?
Right.
I would have it where I would wake up and you would see these beings. You would see these. You would have the classic small Zeta, big-headed, big-eyed, black-eyed Zeta gray, and you would also have the tall mantis leader-looking one, the tall ones, the tall, skinny ones. And I've seen them periodically throughout my life, and I just decided to fight back. Well, first I decided I had to rationalize this. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because, most people who are abducted, they don't just come out and just say, hey, I want to be on a radio show and talk about abductions. If they do, then they're full of crap. Okay? You have to rationalize what the heck is going on here. Okay? What am I seeing? And I did that. And then why am I seeing this? Why are other people seeing this? How can I research other people's experiences and maybe kind of, go to meetings or something where people have been abducted or had an experience and talk to them and educate them and educate myself. And that's what it's, so periodically throughout my life, having these experiences, I didn't play the victim role. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people, they feel helpless. You understand? Just the way a lot of people feel helpless about governmental issues. All right, people feel helpless. So I didn't want to play the victim, and I kind of felt like I want to understand what's happening, and not only about the Greys or the Mantis, but I want to understand about the reptilians. I want to understand about the Nordics. I want to understand about these Pleiadians. I want to understand about Arcturians. Everybody, so I can empower myself to break the chain. And then when I break the chain, be lucky enough to be on a show like you guys have tonight, so I can spread some knowledge, drop some truth bombs, so.
Absolutely. Now, I'd imagine that anyone that experiences an abduction pretty much does feel completely helpless.
Well, sure. You feel completely helpless. It's instant fear for most, panic, fear, helplessness, and Who can you talk to about this? There are people that are lawyers I've talked to, doctors, MDs, that come up to me to say, Paul, you openly come out and you talk about this. Aren't you afraid of criticism? And I said, no, I'm afraid of humanity being recycled. That's what I'm afraid of. You understand? So there are people in powerful positions, in career positions, that don't want to speak up because they're afraid, and they're afraid of the abductions that happen. So, someone should be the voice. And then, not a lot of people are talking about, a lot of people talk about the hybrid of the Greys and abductions, but no one talks about what happens when the sperm is taken, what happens when the female eggs are taken when they're abducted, okay? People say, oh, I see these hybrids on ship, I see these hybrids, but where are they? That's the question. And I'm going to answer that question tonight.
So do you think that the agenda really is all about hybridization?
Well, that's already happened. The agenda is about hybridization. Absolutely. They want a smarter human, or human hybrid. So that is the agenda. And it's kind of like, everyone thinks of an alien invasion, everyone thinks like, wow, these green aliens are going to come down and, fly over the White House, and like Independence Day style, so, right. And it's more covert than that. It's more sneaky than that, because these beings understand how consciousness works and how human emotion works. And if you had billions and billions of people consciously say, hey, we don't want you here, they're not going to be here, period. Then they may have to go all Independence Day out. And what they're doing is they're it's infiltration of the worst kind. Covert.
So do you think they're getting some help?
If there's any humans that sold their soul, so to speak, for technology, which I've heard, where it's like, hey, you can take a couple herd of cattle, do experiments on a couple humans, but bring them back, I mean, they could be possibly getting human help, and it's a shame if they are. If they are, it's a shame, but they probably are. I wouldn't say that they're not, but if someone, I mean, there's a lot of evil people. They call the elites around the world. They wouldn't shock me, but I mean, they sold their soul obviously at the price of the whole entire human race.
So what do you think maybe is the end game for them in abducting people and creating hybrids?
I think it's the end game if you sold your soul out, sure. I mean, I think that they think that they'll be safe and that they'll kind of, have their own little lineage that'll live on. Like, say me and you sold our souls, and we said, okay, you guys are the all-powerful Zeta, okay? And you can take a couple of herd of cattle and do whatever you want with hybrids, but leave us alone, leave our future families alone, and let us be in positions of power. But here's the thing. Those hybrids are neurologically more advanced than we are, you understand? Because they have that gray Zeta. Listen, these beings, they don't talk like me and you talk. It's all telepathy, okay?
Right.
Any abductee will say that, because it is. So therefore, these hybrids already have the advantage over us. You understand? So they think they're safe, these elite, but they're not. It's an edible slow process of their own demise, their own doom. At the end, and the sad thing is that humanity's going to have to pay the cost. And that brings me back to self-empowerment. Because, if you know what's going on, then speak out. With everything in life, speak out. And we have to.
So at the end of the day, we do hear a lot of stories about folks being abducted. And we also hear a lot of stories about hybridization of children and things like that. But one of the people that has made that really public recently is Stan Romanek. So how does your story stand different, besides the legal issues, from what Stan Romanek is saying as far as what this so-called agenda is about? And what proof would you have that it is what it is?
Well, yeah, I don't like to compare myself to anybody. I don't like to compare myself to him or to Jacobs or to anyone.
Right.
Because that's not my style. So as far as how it stands, I mean, I'll just. A lot of people do research. A lot of people do interviews with people that have been abducted. A lot of people do hypnosis from people who, like myself, are abductees, and a lot of them get their information from that, and a lot of it's accurate. So, I mean, as far as proof goes, a lot of abductees have said that when these hybrids are sent down here, okay, they're going to have to be taught how to cook, how to dress properly, how to have apartments, how to, basically socialize as me and you will. Hey, how are you, my friend? Hey, how's it going? That
right.
type of thing.
It makes sense. You have to blend in.
You have to blend in. Oh man, this is going to be a great show because I'm going to get into who they are and how to spot them, everything. I mean, everyone wants proof. You're going to get it. You're going to get the milk and gravy tonight. And a lot of people, I've done. Well, I'm not going to get into all the videos I've done about this, but it's as up to any. When abductees listen to this, they're going to be like, wow, spot on. And even researchers spot on, because here's the thing. They have to learn how to blend in. We've heard this from researchers all over. People have been abducted and said a sperm has been taken, eggs have been taken. And the abductees always repeat that the grays and the tall ones, they say, hey, look, it's all for a purpose. It's all for a better tomorrow. It's all for a better tomorrow. And I think Jacobs, who's a hypnosis, he's done hypnosis for over 40 years. He's I fear for my grandchildren's future, and he should. He should, because they're here now. These hybrids, these hybrids are here now, and they are socialized, and they are holding up residents all over the country, probably all over the world. I've traveled. They're doing it in Philly. I've done in Philadelphia. I've done multiple videos on that. I traveled to Denver, Colorado, and I've noticed it in Denver. I've noticed it in Portland. I've noticed it in LA. And all these houses that these hybrids are, or condo houses, whatever, they're all the same. They're the same style, the same setup, the same construct, okay? In Philly as they are, and that's what really shocked me, you know? Because when I got in Denver, Colorado, I was like, oh my God, it's the same. Some people call them
something
modern.
Specific about the structure or what's in the buildings that makes them amicable to people who are hybrids?
I'm saying, I think is it a coincidence that these? All right, how can I say this without sounding crazy? A lot of what people call hipsters, these new age hipsters, right?
Right.
Okay. The property value goes up and people move out, right? Because these hipsters are coming out of nowhere, right? Different from the hippies in the 60s. See, the hippies in the 60s would protest. The hippies in the 60s would have peace signs. This is different. This is a new age hippie. I call them hippie hybrids because that's what they are. They're hybrids. As far as the building structure is concerned, it just I found it odd that it looks the same. Now I don't know if that's like planned to be that way. I don't know, but it's just ironically weird to me that the way you'd have to see it. You're from what, Texas?
Yes.
I don't know if you have them in Texas, probably, and I think you live in Dallas, right?
What's that? Yes, in Dallas.
Or you're from
Texas.
Dallas,
yes.
Right? So I don't know too much about Dallas, but I'm sure you probably have a few there. But in Denver, it's all over. I couldn't believe it when I was in Denver. I was like, oh my God. And in Philadelphia, it's the same way. In Portland, Oregon, it's the same way. On the West Coast, in LA, it's the same way. And they're literally, again, this may sound crazy to people, but it's going to sound crazy to people who aren't open-minded to the subject. But to like researchers, to abductees, they're going to be like, oh my God, like he's right on the money. You know what I mean?
Okay.
He's right on the money. And the thing is that, like I said, hippies in the 60s are different, okay, than what's going on now. It's a total hybridized takeover of humanity. And I had asked someone, I said, do you notice it, or is it only me? And I said, they all smile when they walk by. It's just their vibe, their energy is different than us. You know what I mean? Like, they dress weirder than we dress, and now people are going to say, "Oh, well, that's kind of being stereotyping
right.
people because they're hippies." No, it's not. They all dress the same kind of. Not a lot of them have cars. It's always bikes. Not a lot of them use cash. It's always card. And ask yourself why. Because they're not neurologically trained to socialize in society driving cars, or not all of them, but most of them. That's why most of them ride bikes, and they haven't quite got the ideology of using money. You understand? That's why all of a sudden now we got these debit cards with chips and this and that, and people are trying to push the microchip in our fingers and all that. You understand? Because society is slowly integrating humanity to the change that's already coming, and that's the hybrids that are here.
But it almost sounds like if I walk down to Madison Square or Park Avenue, that you could pretty much say that all of those people that are in that 5-block area, that they're all hybrids.
Well, and that's another state I missed out on. New York, another spot. Huge spot. And well, here's the thing. I mean, a lot of people like to be trendy. I myself don't. I don't follow people who are trendy. I kind of, if I want to wear a shirt about, whatever, love vibration or whatever, and I want to make a colorful necklace, that's my thing. But this massive invasion of hybrids. When it happened, I think it hit from my understanding, it hit the West Coast first, hard, and then it hit New York, and then I think it may have hit Portland, and then Denver, and then Philly, because it's just now like literally crushing Philly. Period. And you know, a lot. You know, it's hard for a normal person. They're just hipsters. These people are just, you know, trendy, new age hippies, and that dress weird. And here's the thing: they have their own coffee shops, they have their own bars, or social restaurants. We'll say that. Okay, you don't see locals. Okay, so like say we're in Dallas, you know, and this is happening in Dallas, you wouldn't have like you wouldn't have local people who go to local spots, okay, like Applebee's or whatever, going to these spots. It's an overwhelming feeling of kind of like unwantedness, or not so much unwantedness, but like you don't fit in here. That's the vibe you get.
So have you ever like walked into one of those places and kind of pictured or was able to identify who was who?
I can do that without even going into the places, and I kind of get like a smile, like a smirk or a smile, because here's the thing: say you're a hybrid, right? And I'm going to get back to how I ever went into one of the places, but real quick, say you're a hybrid or a hybrid, whatever. Everything is telepathic, okay? So you can walk past someone and literally read someone's thoughts. You have this ability. All right. So now, if I walk by you and I'm like, say, a block, not even a block away, a couple steps away. All right. And I already trained my mind because I'm an abductee, and a lot of abductees kind of open up their third eye, their third sense, you know?
Okay. Because
of these things, these experiences. And if I meditate and I actually train my mind to subconsciously and consciously be in tune, and not only that, but because of having these paranormal experiences, these abduction experiences, if I can know who you are, let's just say, you would walk by me and you're already telepathic, okay? So you're going to be like, wow, this guy knows. And you're going to give me a smile, right? Most of the time, that's what I get. It's just that's what I get. I mean, there have been a couple occasions that you kind of get that. I've never got anything like negative, like, hey, you know, get away from me type of style. No,
they don't say, hey, there's a human.
Well, it's all neurological. I mean, of course, if I said, hi, do you have the time? You know, it's 7:30. You know, you'll get that. But I've went into restaurants where I purposely, because the way I look at it is this way: if you're an abductee, these are our kids, these are our children, so to say. You understand?
Right.
They're a product of abduction DNA, and now they're pretty much blending in with society. So in a way, there are a product of us, people who have been abducted. So I kind of take that mentality, you know, and I approach like, if I go in a restaurant, I approach it like that, like, yo, you're a product of me. Like, yeah, you're half me and whatever, but you're a product of me. So I don't go in with a negative mentality, but I kind of go in like a curious mentality to see the reaction I get, to see how they interact.
Well, I guess, Paul, if I'm understanding your agenda, which I don't know if we've gotten to that part yet.
I don't have an agenda.
Your agenda, it almost sounds.
Right.
It almost sounds like they're trying to replace us. So why would you even feel like they're a part of you when you're extinct to them?
That's a really good question. Because that is a really good question. I've never been asked that, and I love it because I like questions that not challenge, but you know what I mean?
Right.
The reason for that would be because I can't physically start a war, a one-man renegade war, like, and say, hey, you know, you're replacing me, so I'll be thrown in prison. You know what I'm saying? I can't go to certain sections of Fisttown in Philadelphia and just starting fist fights with, hey, you're trying to take me over, boom, So, what options do we have? I thought to myself, like, what options do I have if I'm being recycled, so to say? And the options, is get the word out, because no one's talking about it. Everyone's talking about abductions, but no one's talking about where these hybrids are, where these hybrid children are, and they're here. So what options does an individual have if you know what's going on? And I want to understand them, because you can't fight something unless you understand it from the core. I want to see what they're, I want to socialize and see, to say, like, okay, what are your intentions? You understand? Do they even know? Do they see, just to figure them out? You see, you can't combat or even go up against anything unless you understand it. And then that's throughout history, period. So if they're going to infiltrate us, let me infiltrate them. You understand? Let me go in their social spots. Let me see how they interact with each other. Let me see how they interact with me. If I approach them on a, hey, I know you're here type of deal. You have to do that first.
Well, it kind of sounds like your perception of the agenda kind of stems from your experience when you were an abductee. So why don't you take us through that, as far as how was your experience as an abductee, portraying what you perceive as the agenda today? Well,
my experience was fear. It was fear, but through the later stages, as I got older, and this is going to sound crazy, but it all sounds crazy. So what the heck, right? The tall Zetas are considered the parents of everybody. Well, the whole program, okay? The tall ones, they're in charge, right? The little big-eyed ones are pretty much the ones who come, the worker bees, then they do whatever. And throughout my years of abduction, I kind of grew, not a relationship, but I was mentally taught how to calm my fear, if that makes any sense. To where it was kind of like, hey, I was told, relax your mind. It was, telepathically, the message would be like, relax your mind, don't be afraid, don't be afraid. And fear would literally go away from me. It sounds crazy, but as humans, we can do that. We can literally, train our minds, calm our thought process, and eliminate that panic, emotion. And one of the things that these hybrids don't have that we have, they not that they lack emotion, but they don't kind of, from what I'm getting, either they don't know how to control it, or they don't have, they're not in tune with it. But back to the abduction experiences. So, similar to other people who have been abducted, they would say, here's the hybrid would come into the room, and you would see the hybrid, and you ask questions, they answer. What am I looking at? He is you, you are him, is the response that I would get. You understand? And I turned around and I said, well, do you have a God? Who's God? Do you have a God? Are you afraid of death? Questions like this. And the answer I would get was, death doesn't exist. It's something that has been conditioned, in society. And that's the answer I had got. So, throughout my experiences being abducted, I learned how to control my thoughts, control my fear, and look elsewhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, because if these beings that I've seen and the millions of other people have seen, a lot of other people are talking about other beings. Okay? And if that's the case, then there are other beings out there. Then what can I maybe learn from them also to combat what's going on. You understand? And that's just been my mission, and to basically a mission of understanding what's going on, learning how to empower myself to the point to where I can make sense of it and figure out how I can make a difference in other people's lives who don't know how to make sense of this. And it's scary. It's been scary for a long time for me. And through that fear, once you learn how to control that fear and turn that into like a empowering mindset, then you can change the world, regardless if we win or not. I mean, it's just about the effort, and that kind of gets me back to what I was saying about infiltrating them. Like, why would you do that? Why would you infiltrate them if they're recycling you? Because I want to, one of the things I noticed that I want to make it clear. They seem to these hybrids just seem to have the mentality of they're here to do a job. They're here on a mission. Do you understand? I don't think they look at it as like a us against you type of mentality, if that makes any sense.
Oh yeah,
or them
totally.
Them against us mentality. They don't look at it like that. They look at it as this is home now. Okay, and that's all that matters. This is home for them now. That's all that matters, and that's it. So that kind of bugs me out a little bit, because I'm like, wow, they're not even looking at it as like a war or assault aspect, a mentality. But that doesn't change the fact that humanity is being recycled. And people say, well, where's your proof humanity is being recycled, Paul? Come on, Truthchaser, where's your proof? Our water is poisoned. Our food, Monsanto, right? I'm not going to get into politics on the show. It relates. They merge with each other, so that's why I'm bringing it up. Our food is poisoned. Our air is being sprayed. The forced vaccines, everything. Cancer rate is up. Everything is up. People are being knocked off like flies, right?
So wouldn't this affect the hybrids as well, being that they're partially human?
I'm not big into DNA as far as other beings are concerned, but I would have to say no, because if this is a pre-planned agenda, and I believe it is, to recycle humanity, then they would have some kind of immunity to what's going on with us. I mean, think of it this way: if you had let's say you had two species of ants, right? All right, or two whatever of ants. You wanted to recycle the one, right? And you sprayed certain things on near both ants, both species of ant. You would make sure the one wasn't affected. You would make sure, that the other one was, right? Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Well, as far as ants, I'd probably just get rid of all of them. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. And one of the things that I think about a lot of times is with the significant size of the universe. Sometimes I wonder why anyone would come to this little speck on the map just to basically mess around with us. Now, we're talking about I'm assuming what people call the Zetas from Zeta Reticuli. Mm-hmm. Now, these guys are 38 billion years away? 38 billion light years. Well,
I mean, that's, a lot of people don't believe in NASA because they're BS. And, science in general. Excuse me. Okay, so you're talking about an advanced species. To us, that's a far way. But to them, it's 5 minutes, depending on if they have interdimensional travel technology. Or technology that's beyond our thought process, or what we consider possible. As far as us being a little speck in the universe, listen, we got something they want. That's called DNA. So guess what? We've got something that they want, and it's called the DNA. So yeah, what we think is so far away from here to there, from point A to B, may not be that far for them. So, in order for us to even understand what's going on, like Yoda said from Star Wars, what was one of his quotes? You have to unthink what you think is. I forget exactly how it went, but unlearn what you've learned or what you think is true. See, that's the thing. Like people have to, whatever you think is true or possible or impossible, these beings, it's totally the opposite. You understand that they can come in their craft and appear, disappear, whatever. So I think humanity has that technology. I'm not saying that we don't, but I think that we made a big mistake if we agreed to this genetic manipulation that's going on.
So I guess, Paul, the question here is, as a normal person that is working...
He said as a normal person.
Well,
I'm only messing with you, man. Go ahead.
No, yeah, I mean someone that's not into this topic.
Right.
You know what I mean? As a regular person. Yeah, let's put it that way. Someone that's not been researching it.
Right, the 9-to-5 individual who is not into this. Right, go ahead.
As that individual is going throughout their everyday, this is where the normal part comes in, their normal lives, what would you tell them is a sign, besides being a hipster, of what a hybrid would be?
He said, besides being a hipster. Well, I mean, first of all, if a normal person came up to me and just asked me how I would define a hybrid,
right.
Is that the question?
Right.
Well, I would say someone who looks very, 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 very similar to me and you, can read thoughts. They dress different. It's hard to explain. They're not out wearing Timberlands and polo shirts, if that's what you want to know.
Okay.
They're not doing that. You know what I mean? They're not smoking blunts and drinking 40s on the corner. They're not. They don't socialize like us. If anyone don't believe what I'm saying, especially in Portland or New York or Philly or wherever, God knows where else it's going on, but because I haven't been everywhere around the country yet. But if you find out for yourself. Again, that's what I say. Self-empowerment comes from, I don't want anyone that's going to listen to this to believe what I'm saying. Go out and research it yourself. Research other abductees who have been abducted, and they will tell you, like, you ain't even going to hear the type of stuff that we're talking about tonight. That I'm saying, and that's real talk, but most abductees will tell you that these hybrids tell them. They said, look, teach me how to cook. People in real estate who have been abducted will make sure they have these apartments. Ask yourself this, okay? So I hope I answered the first question, which was what would I say? What would I say to someone who wanted to know about a hybrid or a hybrid? I hope I answered that. If not, we can get back to that. Other than that, look at it this way: the economy. There's no jobs. Okay, there's no jobs. You tell me how they're affording these high-rise houses. Normal people who we'll say normal people, right? Normal people can't afford $1,800 a month, right? But all of a sudden, these weird dressing, weird acting, weird walking and talking individuals, right? Where are they getting the jobs from? There's no jobs. There ain't no jobs in Portland, Oregon. I just came from Portland, Oregon. There's no work. There's more homeless people in Portland, Oregon than I can count. Vegas is bad there too. But so where is everyone getting all this money from? And they're all out of state. Like most of them, they just come out of nowhere, and they have these coffee shops, and they have these restaurants, and they have these multi-million-dollar housing projects coming up that no one else can afford. They don't socialize with us. They don't interact with normal people. So where are they coming from? Right. And that goes back to the average abductee who's listening to this. You know what I'm talking about. And hopefully people who don't know what I'm talking about, please research. Because look at it this way. most people who have been abducted and have either seen a hybrid, and I've seen my son in New York. We can get into that. I talked about this on other shows too when I was doing the 9/11 protest. 9/11 awareness. But anyway, so I'm saying is most abductees will tell you that they're told that they have a job as an abductee to teach these hybrids. So if as an individual in Philadelphia, what's going on in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, this is a long process. It's been going on for a long time. So when all these hippie hybrids showed up, who's to say that they weren't taught things, that these real estate people didn't teach them things? You know what I'm saying? You shape shifting too. That goes on.
So do you believe that as a result of all your abduction history that you've actually contributed DNA to many of these hybrids?
Oh, absolutely. I met one in New York City. This was years ago. Well, not too long ago, but the last time that I was in New York City for the 9/11, tribute, 9/11 awareness, stuff like that. An older gentleman, I'm talking maybe 70. He had big, thick glasses on. He had a cane, and he was walking with a young guy, maybe 20, like in great shape too. I would say about 25, maybe something like that. And he had black hair, and they both had glasses on. See, at the time when you have experiences or paranormal experiences or whatever, okay, you are in the moment. Do you understand? So you're in the moment, and again, these beings have neurological advantages over most people, even myself. So you're kind of like you're experiencing the moment, but you're in a trance at the same time. So you can't compute everything, like right on the money, right on the moment.
Right.
So I had a shirt. I have a specific shirt. It's of a black-eyed, the black-eyed people. Do you ever hear that?
Yes.
Black-eyed children,
the children,
the black-eyed hybrids. Well, I had a shirt of this at the 9/11 event. You understand? So it was the black-eyed people, and it said Truthchaser on it, and it said like, we are here, open up your reality, or something. I forget exactly what the shirt said, but the older gentleman, out of everyone in the crowd, came over to me, and he took notice to it. Now, if we look at the Greys, what do they have? They have the black eyes, right? Right. Now, he came over to me, and the young guy just had his, excuse me, he had his hands, crossed, listening. And every time I would go to ask him a question, the older guy would just, interrupt real quick. You know what I mean? And the older guy was telling me about the towers. He goes, "Do you see the towers?" I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well, do you see these are actually, they're producing energy from these towers?" And he was just telling me some out of the world stuff that a normal person would not say. You understand? Mm-hmm. So he was telling me about the movie, the 12th Planet or something like that, I think it was called. Something like that. I forget the actual, maybe I might have said it right, but he was telling me about this movie. He's like, "You got to watch this movie, Paul. You got to watch this movie." And at the time, I didn't put two and two together. I didn't think how the heck does this guy know my name? And the younger guy would smile. He just kept smiling. One of the things was the older gentleman asked me. He said, "So if I was to ask you a question, would you answer it?" I said, "Sure." And he said, "Well, what would your message be for, humanity? What would your message be for the being on your shirt?" You know what I'm saying? And it was again, when you're in the moment, you're not neurologically thinking straight. You know what I mean? It's so, but I'll get to that in a minute. And I turned around and I said, "Well, love." I said, if hybrids are here and they're not here to this was years ago. I said, if they're not here to recycle us, then love. But if they're here to recycle us, then love still, but love with some resistance. Love with some yo, I'm just not going to go down. I'm not going to go out like this. And I looked at the younger, the younger guy next to him, and he started smiling. And it was that It's very emotional, but that was my son, as crazy as that sounds. Hybrid, yeah. It's kind of like, say you're abducted, and then years and years and years and years and years later, hey, look, you're at an event, and your hybrid says, wow, this is my dad. He's all over the place, you know? I want to meet him. I want to come down, and I want you to ask. And the older guy's like, look, I'll ask the questions, whatever. You can telepathically already figure things out anyway. So that begs the question, how do I feel about that? How do I feel about him smiling? How do I feel about him being there, even though I know that we're being recycled? Now that's a question. Right?
So did you feel some kind of connection? Was there like a resemblance to you in any way?
Again, when you're in the moment, you know, your mind's kind of like going. I did afterwards. It's kind of one of them things. When I was there, I kind of got the feeling, that he was observing the conversation, observing me. So and that's what it was. That's what he was there for, obviously. Caitlin, can you turn on the AC for me, buddy? Thank you. So that's kind of the impression that I felt. And one of the things that happens when you have these powerful experiences, because it was nothing less than that, okay, is that a half an hour, 2 hours later, when you recollect and go back on it, you're like, oh my God, that was my son. You understand it? It's kind of like you have that experience.
I'm sure it was mind-boggling.
How can I relate this to something, to like a 9-to-5 worker that wants to get into this? It's kind of like saying, it's kind of like saying, I'm trying to think how I can relate this to people who wouldn't understand. I guess it's kind of like saying, I go to a carnival or something, right? And someone from my family who I don't know meets me, and then you're just like, oh my God, like, you know, it's weird. It's how to explain it. But we have to understand that these beings also have the ability to install things to you, energy to you, that right. At that time you may not pick up on. But like he made that connection with me that day. And he somehow kind of made sure that when he left, I would understand that connection.
Right,
I've been on the radio
show. Kind of like stayed with you the whole time.
Right. And I broke down on a radio show. Damn near cried on it, talking about it, because it's very emotional. It's very emotional. And again, you know, how do I feel? Because I'll throw the question at that. How do I feel knowing I had this experience? Now, the old man, I don't believe he was a hybrid. The younger guy, yeah. He was 100% hybrid, whatever. If that older guy would have took them shades off, I'm sure I would have seen something, and the rest of that crowd would have probably freaked out and ran. That's the impression that I'm under. That sitting thinking about it, you know.
Right. So listen, I got a couple of people who are in the chat box, and there is a question for you, and that is, do you believe that hybrids know that they are hybrids?
Absolutely. The reason for that is because that's why they socialize together. They all connect in the same little coffee shops and restaurants, and you don't see the hippie hybrids, as I call them. They don't hang with regular people. Do you understand? They're not. You know, what did you said something about New York City? If you would go down a certain part of New York City,
Park
that
Avenue,
you see them all, right?
Park Avenue,
right.
Yeah.
Listen, they're not down at the Bronx shaking hands and hanging in local bars in the Bronx. No, they're not down in the Bronx restaurants. No, because of course they know. That's why they're not, you know, down in certain parts of different areas. And it's the same way in Philadelphia. It's the same way in Portland. And what blew my mind was the massive similarity that I seen in other areas of the country. Because, I mean, I have video where I actually, you know, I walk around the city and I'm pointing out the houses and I'm pointing out I talk about the agenda, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And when I left Philly, I went to Denver, and it was so similar. which freaked me out. I'm like, oh my God, it's the same thing. So now I know it's not a coincidence. You understand? So for anyone who abductee, non-abductee, always question everything, always question the reality, always and research, because that's how we come to an honest fact conclusion, is by saying, okay, I have A, B, and C in front of me. Let's see what happens when I go to, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. Let's see how it adds up after the research. And it added up to a T. Do you understand what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying? They look the same. Yeah, they act the same. Go ahead. Any
so
more
are
questions?
You currently active in, engaging other abductees and their experiences?
I've been really busy with activism. I'm just now jumping back into universalism, so I'm working on that. I'm going to be going to the MUFON conference in Pennsylvania, the one in Philadelphia, the one in Pittsburgh. I'm going to do live man on the street interviews. It's going to be good. It's going to be epic. It's going to be great. So you're going to, and that's never been done. I think I'm the only person who's actually went to a UFO group. I spoke at a UFO group conference in Philadelphia. And after that conference, I interviewed people, like people who have been abducted. No one else has done this. No one else has talked about this subject on the level that I'm talking about this on. And if you don't believe me, I don't make any money off of this. I'm a single father. I make no money. And I'm a dedicated activist. So my goal is to take universalism and merge it with activism, because it has to be done, and that's what we're doing on the show. You understand? Because a lot of viewers go say, well, hey, look, you're saying we're being recycled, but how? Prove it. Right. And I say, look at the chemtrails. Okay? Look at mine, say, So that's why, there's your proof. And the numbers don't lie. As you were talking about earlier about other researchers, on how I feel, how what my opinions are. We're all in this together. I hate it when people, I don't hate the question, but I hate when certain individuals compare themselves to others. Let's learn from each other. Let's love each other. Let's research with each other. And let's come to a conclusion with each other that change is necessary. Look, if anyone watches football, we're down and we're in the fourth quarter. It's comeback time. We got to do something. If not physically in this existence, okay, in this existence, then we at least have to do it in for our future generations, if there is any chance. And if there isn't any chance, then at least we can say we tried. You understand?
No, absolutely. Because
the worst,
it makes sense.
Real quick, but my friend, before you ask another question, and I know. Just please excuse me real quick, because I'm on fire right now. The worst thing that a parent would have to be asked from, children, stepkids, whatever, is like, Dad, Mom, why didn't you fight for me? And this isn't about activism. It goes with abductees and universalism. Why didn't you fight? Why didn't you, step up to the plate? Why did you allow me to be brought up in this world the way it is without doing nothing? You understand? And some abductees were going to, we have to understand, some abductees are going to disagree with me, and that's fine. They're going to say, hey, listen, it's not like that, Paul. You're full of crap, and, different things like that. So again, I mean, I'm kind of just here to express my thoughts on what I believe to be the agenda at hand.
So in the description, I included a link to your YouTube channel and also to your Facebook page. The Truthchasers page, and I invite anyone that's interested in what Paul is here to explain today to visit those two websites and kind of get an insight as far as what Paul is trying to express to you right now.
I'm just very passionate, so sometimes when I come off, it kind of seems like it's on the defense, and it's really not. I'm just, anyone who's around me or does events with me, I'm very passionate. I'm very fired up, and I get the emotions mixed in with the message. So, and it's just, in my opinion, this is a very powerful, very important subject, and not a lot of people are talking about it. a lot is at risk right now. So
Paul, we are at the last few minutes. We've actually gone over an hour, and usually these interviews are an hour long. But any last words that you want to share with the folks that are listening right now?
Sure. Just let go of fear. Try to have understanding and empower yourself to empower others once you've, did your research and come to any kind of conclusion. If you feel strongly about something, empower others to empower themselves, because real knowledge isn't power unless you empower others. And thank you so much for having me on, and it's been great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Paul.
Thanks.
So there you have it, folks. That was Paul Wesley, and just from the information I'm getting from the chat box, it was really hard for folks to actually get the message that he was sending everyone. And the one thing about coming onto this podcast is that you should really have a plan. You should have a way to present to people what you're getting at. And this is why we like individuals like Jeff and other people that have come on, because even if you look at this just from a scientific point of view, even if you look at it as maybe a kid that's trying to explain why he did something bad, you've got to put together your evidence. You got to put together your sources and let us know what it is you're trying to tell us. I hope that I was able to get him to express to you exactly what it is he was trying to say. At many places, I was a bit lost, because I tried to get him from the inception of his experience to where he is today. And unfortunately, I don't believe that people who are hipsters are necessarily 4.24 hybrids. The fact is that there's a lot of rich people out there who are rich because of technology, and they dress different. They're weirdos like Steve Jobs, and it's because they don't have to go out to a job. They're not doing a 9 to 5. They're different in that way. And maybe there is truth to what he's saying. Maybe there is something there that we don't see, but that's why I invited him to go on ahead and come on the podcast so that he can share with you guys what his take is on this. And I actually did not know that he was an abductee, but we really couldn't get too much information on him being an abductee. But nonetheless, I thank you guys for listening. Whenever the show is live, you can get on Spreaker and interact live on the Spreaker box. Just like right now, we have Paul and Ronnie, and they were pretty active in there during the show, sending messages and asking questions and making statements. But if you're not on there, you can catch us everywhere else on Stitcher, iTunes, Google Play Music. And don't forget to join the UBR Truth Seekers page, which Ronnie is a member of. And find us anywhere where we're listed in social media. Again, thanks for listening. We'll be back on Tuesday with the UFO Report, the old news episode.